Recording in progress.
That what I Miss Parker. Thanks again for tuning into the spirits, the waters, Lord. Thanks again for tuning into Mataya Hawada, the spirits, the waters, and the blood. Most definitely Thawada. Hopefully everyone is shaking these evil spirits that's out here, that's running around rampant, that's trying to infect your life. There's different ways in order to refute it, and one way that's a certain is come back to the Father. Um, it kind of makes you waterproof against any type of demonic attacks that individuals and curses that individuals may try to put upon you. But the chosen seed most definitely doesn't have anything to worry about on that situation. Tawada to Yahweh for giving me the opportunity to address, to educate, to do His will, His fame, and today most definitely His name. For His name's sake, it is not Ahaya, it is not Jehovah, it is not um, Jesus, because some individuals believe Jesus is God, the Almighty, the All Knowing, which most definitely Yahweh Shah, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, most definitely said he says it numerous times that he came not to do his will, but the Father who had sent him. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the Father. So today, I'm addressing the topic on what individuals talk about. Again, Tawada Yahuwah for giving me the opportunity to address, educate, and for your name's sake, your will, your way, your fame, your glory. Bahashem Hamashiach Yahawashah Uvain Barakata Ruach Kodashecha Etlo Yakalat Latir Yahweh Hitov. Um, so like I said before, I'm gonna address individuals that's talking about the Talmud, or not the Talmud. The Talmud is a man-made document that other individuals, Jewish individuals, hold higher than the Torah, but in the Tanakh, which are the same. But anyway, I'm here to talk today about the Tetragrammaton, the recognition of the Father's holy name, and it we'll keep going through it. Like I said before, and none of the illustrations where you see that that they're using a higher as the Father, and how individuals can actually use the Tetragrammaton to defile the Father's name, profane the Father's name, and use it for witchcraft and all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, really, to where individuals is running around like they just gone bonkers. Um, Protection spells and all of this. If you want to find protection, go to the Father. If you want to find peace, go to the Father. Bahashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, in the name of Yahweh Shah, in the name of Yahweh Shah, basically saying that Yahweh is salvation. Yahweh Shah means Yahweh is salvation. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. So basically, we have different individuals that try to say that that the Tetragrammaton is in representation of the Father's holy name, or try to say that the Tetragrammaton says that individuals are worshiping other deities other than Yahweh. And it's not Yahweh, Yahweh and Yahusha, and the ways that you get those particular names is because of man. They get in there with the Masoretic dot system or vowel system, and then they put vowels in front of what was just existing consonants. So now, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and let's go ahead and get to it, because I don't want this to be Well, it's going to take as long as it's going to take. It's for the father. It's for the father. All right, so technically, here we go. Let me share my screen. Okay. Let me close a lot of stuff. Maybe I should have pre-prepped this page. And we'll go here. All right. So earlier, when I said that different individuals try to take the Tetragrammaton and then they break the Tetragrammaton down into different um, forms of magic and worship and everything, when the Tetragrammaton is not that. The Tetragrammaton, when you see it in this particular form, and I'll go into it further later, but when you see it in this particular form, to me, it's not right, because you have a lot of pagan symbols. Is this particular symbol, or the Tetragrammaton, has an infusion of Islam, Christian, pagan beliefs, and Jewish beliefs, most definitely, with Yahweh right there. And then that's somewhat how they try to affiliate it with different individuals or with different deities, when it's only one Almighty Elohim. It's only one Almighty God. It's only one Almighty Elohim. Elohim. So basically, with that being said, let's go ahead and bounce. I'll come back to this, I guess. Let's make me a little bit bigger. And I'll move me right here. Okay. So when we go down to Wikipedia, I'm using Wikipedia because if you look at the resources or the sources that they provide on this particular subject, they give a thorough breakdown, and then their reference list of what they use is just tremendous. It's a lot of citations, and it's a lot of information or linking sites to this particular information that they receive. If I could ever get to the bottom of it. So right here, references, and then you see all your references, and then all of these references and citations come from, various authors and publishers of books, information that's been reported on the Tetragrammaton. Basically, so they cover themselves with a lot of individual information. You could get PDFs on the original version of what's the archives, the Bible Quarterly. So is that quarterly? Yeah, quarterly. Basically, and yeah, they give just tremendous amounts of information. So I'm not going to ramble along. I'm just going to stick to the facts because I don't want anyone to draw off of, especially me, off topic. So I'll start it right here. And if I'm not mistaken, the Tetragrammaton, the oldest inscription of the Tetragrammaton was recorded around 840 BC. 840. That's what the 7th century BC, but 840 BC or 8th century, however they count it. But anyway, all right, the Tetragrammaton, consisting of 4 letters, or the tetragram, is the 4-letter Hebrew theon of Yahweh, YHWH. That is not a Vav, that is not a V. V did not exist. This word is Yahweh, translated as YHWH, the name of Elohim in Hebrew, or in the Hebrew Bible. The Hebrew letters written and read from right to left in Hebrew are Yod, are Yod, He, Wah, and He. YHWH. Yod, He, Wah, and He. The name may be derived from a Hebrew verb that means to be, to exist, to cause, to become, or to come to pass. While there is no consensus about the structure of the etymology of the name, the form Yahweh, or they call him Yahweh, which it could, or Yahweh, which Yahweh could represent other deities. I have no idea on that particular. Well, I do have an idea, inclination on it, but the thing is that when they associate Yahweh with, they associate other Yahweh with other deities, and Yahweh may, I haven't gone deep into that name or whatever and seen all of the propaganda that's been spread out about this particular about this name, but his name is Yahweh, YHWH, Yahweh, Yahweh is now accepted, or Yahweh is now Yahweh, because not too many people are into the truth, and not too many people are acceptance of the truth because they're stuck like dope fiends on, like they're stuck like dope fiends on a religion, and then they they hear the truth, but they won't acknowledge that what they hear is the truth. All right, so therefore let's go a little bit for, let's keep going. Is accepted almost universally, though the vocalization Jehovah, which the letter J did not exist, or the V, continues to have wide usage. A lot of people use that, and even the Roman Catholic Church, that Jehovah was wrong. The name Jehovah was a mistranslation of the name, of his name. The books of the Torah and the rest of the Hebrew Bible, except Esther, Ecclesiastes, and with a possible instance of the short form Yah or Yah. But they say Jah is not, the J did not exist. Yah is a short form of YHWH, Yahweh. The four letters that form the Tetragrammaton, the Tetragrammaton is just the recognition of the Father's divine name. So, the four letters that are from the Tetragrammaton, the personal name of Elohim, Yahweh, which the ancient Israelites used, the conventional Christian's English pronunciation of Jah. Now, the conventional Christian English pronunciation of Jah is, even though the letter is, Jah is, even though the letter J here translated the palatal, approximate, the spelling Yah. Okay, they go further into it, but I'm not going to go further into it. So I'll keep it moving. So now when we look at that, where did I leave off? The books of the Torah and the rest of the Hebrew Bible. Okay, and then, okay, here we go. The Song of Songs. All right. Possible instances of the short form Yah in verse 86. The Song of Songs contain this Hebrew name. Observant Jews and those who follow the Talmud, Jewish tradition, do not pronounce Yahweh, nor do they read aloud proposed transcriptions from such as Yahweh, or they use Yahweh or Jehovah. Instead, they replace it with a different letter, with whether in addressing or referring to Elohim of Yisrael or Israel. Common substitutions in Hebrew are Adonai, Elohim, literally gods, but treated as a singular meaning God in prayer, or Hashem, the name. Oh yeah, Hashem, the name in everyday speech. So now it goes and shows the pronunciation: Yod, He, Wah, not va, not va, ya, wa, not va, wa. Wa is the sixth letter in the Semitic abjad, including Phoenician wa, Aramaic wa, Hebrew wa slash, it wasn't vav, it was wa, Syriac wa, and Abric wa. All right, so all of these other race or individuals that started ancient societies recognize this as a wa, not a va, not a who. So just keep going a little further. Do I want to read this? The Tetragrammaton is not a test. Other is not a test other than among the Israelites, and seems not to have any published etymology. The Hebrew Bible explains it by the formula Ahaya Asher Ahaya, or I am that I am, and which a lot of people say his name Ahaya. Well, if he said Ahaya Asher Ahaya, shouldn't his whole name be Ahaya Asher Ahaya? Which is saying that I am that I am is a common English translation of the Hebrew phrase Yashar, or I am. Also, I am who I am. I will become what I choose to become. I am what I am. It's like a smart remark that the Father said to Moses, and when he said when he told him told him a name, he was like, a name. He didn't tell him a name. He was like, man, I am who I am. I'm the all existent. I'm the Almighty. So how can you stop at Ahaya and not read? Moreover, this is the name that you shall say to the children of Israel: Lord Elohim of thy fathers, Yahweh, YHWH, which is in biblical ancient texts over 6 to 7,000 times. Sometimes he's saying, look, I am Yahweh. And then other instances, he's referring to Yahweh, Lord of hosts, Yahweh, King of Israel. All right, I keep going on. This would frame YHWH as a derivation from the Hebrew constitutional root Hayah. Now that's very, very, very important. Let me push this up a little bit so I can see a little bit better. All right, Hayah. Now, derivation from the Hebrew consonantal or consonantal triconsonantal root. All right, this actually means the roots or verbs and most nouns in the Semitic language are characterized as the sequence of consonants or radicals. Such abstracts constitutional roots are used in the form of actual words by adding the vowels and non-root consonants which go with a particular morphological category. So now after we read derivation of the Hebrew triconsonantal root Hayah, to become, come to pass, with a third person masculine Y prefix equivalent to the English he is to come. He is to come to pass. He is to be. He is become. Thereby affording translation as he who causes to exist. He thereby affording translations as he who causes to exist. He who is, etc. Although this would elicit the The form Yah Haya, Yah Haya, not Yahweh, Yahweh. To rectify this, some scholars pronounce that the Tetragrammaton represents a substitutional of the media. But let's stop right there. We got the word, I didn't pull this up or get this ready, but we got this right here, Haya. And I pointed this out so many times to other individuals that they really don't really understand what's going on when they look at these particular words. Haya all right, let's see if I can find it. All right, I'll just say it so that way it doesn't make this video longer. All right, this just said it as a derivation from the Hebrew triconsonant root. All right, Haya, and meaning that Hawa is older than Haya. Matter of fact, Haya is Hawa. Understand? Haya is Hawa. So let's push further. All right, I'll pick up here. To rectify this, some scholars propose that the Tetragrammaton represents a substitutional or a metal Y for W, or an occasional attest practice in the Hebrew Bible as both letters represent matter or matrix lexicones. Other propose that the Tetragrammaton derived instead from the transitional root of Hawa to become constitute with the final form eliciting similar translations as those derived from Haya. So basically, Haya came after Hawa. So modern scholars, in order for them to try to hide the name, basically that's all they were doing. They was trying to take the divinic name, the divine Father, out of the book, and they tried to replace the divine Savior's name, the Hamashiach, from the Bible, Yahweh Shah. They replaced it with Jesus. They took Yahweh Shah out, or Yahshua, Yahshua, out of the Bible, and they replaced it with Jesus. Okay, so all right, I'll just keep going. Modern scholars, census, however, consider Ahaya Ashahaya to be a folk etymology. Let's look at that. Folk etymology is a change in a word or phrase resulting from the replacement of an unfamiliar form by a more familiar one. The form of the meaning of an archaic, foreign, or otherwise unfamiliar word is reinterpreted as resembling more familiar words or morphisms. So basically, they changed Ahaya Esha Ahaya. They started picking up that as the new form because nobody really was. They really didn't see YHWH. Only thing that they saw was Ahaya Asha Ahaya, or Ahaya Asha Ahaya. All right, vocalizations. All right, we won't go into this right here, but let's keep pushing a little bit further. His name is Yahweh, not Yahweh. All right. All right. This particular individual put in, and he's a scholar, holds that the original pronunciation of YHWH was Yahoo or Yahoo. Max Reeses, and another scholar in the mysterious name of YHWH says that Vocalization of the Tetragrammaton must originally have been Yahoo, which the U wasn't enunciated then. So basically, all throughout this thing, there's some different scholars that debate the name of it, but the fact is that his name is not Yahya. I mean Ahaya. And right here, Yahweh is mentioned also in the Lachish relief letters. Lachish relief letters, which was written in 587 BC. YHWH. YHWH. YHWH in one of the Lachish letters from 500 BC. All right, so this is basically giving us everybody. You could go to it, Google it. What did I Google in order to come up with this? Oh, the Tetragrammaton. So basically, you look up the Tetragrammaton, you go into Google, and then once you go into Google, you'll be able to see all of this information, even when it's going back down to ancient times, and especially, well, it doesn't go into the Iron Age, but it does go into what's approaching first century CE. All right, according to Jewish Encyclopedia, it occurs 5,410 times in the Hebrew Scripture. In the Hebrew Bible, the Tetragrammaton occurs 6,828 times, as can be seen in the Kettle's Bible of Brick. So they give the different Bibles that you could actually see what was written opposed to the words and the names that they took out. So one sister did a video and I felt bad for her soul because I said, sweetheart, you are blaspheming the Father's name. You have to be careful. It is curses involved with that. All right, so the Tetragrammaton, which would add up to 142 additional occurrences. Even in the Dead Sea Scrolls, practices varied with regard to the use of the Tetragrammaton, according to Brown's driver Briggs. All right, YHWH, Yahweh, occurs 6,518 times. Yahweh and Yahuwah, okay, in that particular form, Briggs is 6,000 Akabara, and then occurs 6,518 times, and Yahuwah, and then the Hebrew words that they use for Yahuwah in this one, Elohim, 305 times in the Messianic or Masoretic text. So that's basically when they was trying to remove the Father's name. All right. The first appearance of the Tetragrammaton in the book of Genesis 2:4, the only book it does not appear in, and then it gives the different books that it doesn't appear in. The book of Acts, the Tetragrammaton does not appear. Okay. For the short form Yah occurs 50 times. Hallelujah, hallelujah is included. Most definitely. Then let's keep on going. It's something else that I wanted to show you, and then when they actually give up the instances, the Masoretic text display, closed transcription of the display, and then the references to wherever the display that you wanted, the particular Bible that you wanted to read it in. Genesis, Judges, Genesis, and basically let's keep going. The Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, and I'll pause here for a second. In the Dead Sea Scrolls and other Hebrew and Aramaic texts, the Tetragrammaton, and some other names of Elohim in Judaism, such as Elohim, El or Elohim, were sometimes written in Paleo Hebrew script. Paleo Hebrew script. The Paleo Hebrew script, also Paleo Hebrew, Proto Hebrew, or Old Hebrew, is the writing system found in Canaanite inscriptions from the region of biblical Israel and Yehuda, Judah. It is considered to be the script used to record the original text of the Hebrew Bible due to its similarity of the Samaritans. All right. So, in order to explain this particular part, is found in the Canaanite inscriptions. Did Moses grow up in Egypt? I'll keep going. All right. So, with that just being said, that they're showing the different variations of what the Hebrew script. You find it in the Greek Septuagint, which the Hebrew Bible was translated in the Greek, and first century BC. So around this particular time is when they're all forming to try to. They know the Father's name. They didn't know how to enunciate it. So therefore, they started trying to. If they did know how to enunciate it, they started to try to hide it from everyone. So you find it in the Christian LXX manuscripts and all of this. All right, so I won't keep going, or let me see. Basically, I'll look this one up just to see what the oldest areas in which they was using using the Tetragrammaton as, or the Tetragrammaton showing recognition to the Father's name. All right, so you have it in plastic writings, Catholic encyclopedia. So basically, everybody has recorded this particular Tetragrammaton, or the Father's holy name. The Latin Vulgate, Judaism, the Mishah, still at 840 BC, around the same time as the creation of the Tetragrammaton. In the name of King Mishah of Moab. Moshe tells how Chemos, the god of Moab. So basically, it's not saying that he's a Canaanite. These are Canaanite individuals. So he's not saying that the Canaanites, Yahweh, was their Canaanite god. He's saying that their particular god, Mishnah tells how Chemos, the god of Moab, how Chemos, I can't highlight it, how Chemos, the god of Moab, had been angry with his people and had allowed them to be subsequently or subjugated to whatever. It's more on it, but I'm not going into it. So that was a brief showing right there that the Canaanites had had a god that they worshiped, and it wasn't Yahweh. Since the destruction of the Second Temple of Jerusalem in 70 AD, the Tetragrammaton has no longer been pronounced in the liturgy. However, the pronunciation was still known in Babylonian in the latter part of the 4th century. So they stopped trying to use it. It was a time when the Father's name and his true people would stop enunciating it, because they was either coming out of captivity or getting ready to go into captivity, with Yahya el Negro. Just saying. So then we keep on going a little bit further. All right, I'm tired of looking at this one. Let's go to another one. Right here. Now, keep in mind, like I said before, this is coming from Jews in the city. Orthodox, unexpected. So basically, this is Jewish literature or Jewish documentation. They found a tablet Then they found a piece of a tablet. I'll let the site tell you about the tablet. All right, researchers decoded oldest known Hebrew inscription on tablet from Mount Ebal. It's always a bit eerie when a story from the Torah gets validated with evidence from modern times. While faith is a main pillar of Judaism, or stories or being an Israelite, main pillar of being an Israelite, stories like this could make one even more secure in their beliefs. In this case, it goes back to Deuteronomy 27:15 through 26, when Moses instructed the Levites to lead all of the people of Israel from the top of Mount Ebal, and talks through a series of 11 curses against anyone involved in adultery, dishonoring their mother or father, or moving their neighbor's boundary stones. Just to name a few. In Joshua 8:30, Joshua builds an altar on Mount Ebal following his battle with Ai, or Ai, makes a burnt offering to Elijah and repeats the curses of Moses. Now an actual tablet found on Mount Ebal is said to have a formulaic curse inscription on it. The news was revealed at a press conference on Thursday at the Lanier Theological Library in Houston, Texas, by Associates of the Biblical Research, ABR. Associates of Biblical Research, ABR. The translation is composed of 23 English words where the word curse appears 10 times and the word YHWH appears twice. The transcription reads as cursed by Elijah of Yahweh. You will be cursed, you will surely die. Cursed by Yahweh. Cursed. The tablet first became known in December 2019 when Scott Stripling, ABR's director of excavations and the director of archaeological studies instituted at the Bible Seminary in Katy, Texas, led a team to shift the discarded material from excavations conducted in 1982 and 1989. For more information on this story, you can go here. All right. So now they find an inscription, a tablet, with the father's name on it. Let's see how old. Archaeologists just found the tablet, old inscription of the Hebrew name of Elijah, and this is what it looks like. Oh, yeah. The discovery suggests ancient Israelites were more literal or more literate than previously assumed. You could get Altian inspiration and news. Okay, they're just soliciting their particular website or information. And an incredible rare archaeological discovery could change everything we know about ancient Israelites literacy. A small lead tablet that was engraved with early proto-alphabetic Hebrew text has been unearthed at Mount Ebal, dated to the 15th century BC. The 15th century BC. The Tetragrammaton was created in 840 BC. Now this one dates to 15th century BC. We're talking about 14,000 years earlier. the find which predates the Dead Sea Scrolls by more than a millennium. So this tablet predates even the Dead Sea Scrolls. Finds which predates the Dead Sea Scrolls by more than a millennium, represents the oldest known mention of the Hebrew name of Elohim. The Times of Israel, or the Times of Israel, describe the artifact as a 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter lead tablet which has been folded. It is called a cursed tablet, which is similar in some aspect to the legal document. The tablet reminds the one who carries it that they will be cursed if they do not fulfill some sort of obligation to. The inscription reads, "Cursed, cursed, cursed, cursed by Elohim Yahweh. You will die cursed. Cursed, you will surely die. Cursed by Yahweh. Cursed, cursed, cursed." Haaretz Ruth Schultzer explains that the 40 letters inscribed on the tablet were illuminated through the use of high-tech scanning and analysis. The word curse appears 10 times, and I'll keep reading. If the word cursed appears 10 times in the Hebrew name of Elohim, YHW, which is still Yahweh, YHW, you notice how they ain't saying YHV. You notice how they ain't saying Ahaya. They're saying the word curse appears 10 times and the Hebrew name of Elohim, YHW, which is still Yahweh. Yahweh appears twice. This is now the oldest known example of the Tetragrammaton, which is seen written on latter artifacts as YHWH. Israelite literacy. An interview with the Houston Chronicle led archaeologist Dr. Scott Stripling argued that the discovery dashes assumptions that the Bible was written long after its events took place. He noted that the author of the tablet would have been highly educated for his time, and he was. So basically, he's saying that he don't agree with it because it's no way that them Israelites was that smart. One can no longer argue with a straight face that the biblical text was not written until the Persian period or the Hellenistic period, as many higher critics have done. We do clearly have the ability to write the entire text as much earlier date. Stripling said, a much earlier date. This is the major development of our understanding and how the ancient Israelites kept their records. It was previously thought that all biblical accounts were handed down through a vast oral tradition, which it wasn't. It was written and latter transcribed for preservation. The discovery opens up the possibility that the Israelites kept documents of their own as early as the late Bronze Age. Let's keep going. Okay, this is just a description of what the 1st century BC, and just so you could get an idea of the time frame in which these documents were written. Now, it just said that this particular tablet was found in the 15th. It dated back to the 15th century BC, while it predated the Dead Sea Scrolls by a millennium, and then it also is the Tetragrammaton didn't come to be until the recognition for the heathen that the Tetragrammaton didn't come to be until 840 BC. Talking about 14,000 years later. All right, what is the 15th century? 15,000 or 1,500 to 1,400 BC. That's the 15th century. Meaning going that year going into the next year. Sort of like when you do your taxes. I know a lot of y'all know about that. All right. Then when we look at it, and then you get individuals that try to say, all right, that's a curse. That's you praying to this God or you praying to that God. Stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. And the reason why I say that, when you think of the ancient way that you say Judah, it's Yahweh Da. According to a user, and I'm just bouncing to, I know what it is, but and I'm gonna prove it biblically. According to a user from New Jersey, U.S., the name Yehuda or Yahweh Da, Yahweh Da, Yada, praise, is of Hebrew origin and means it is literally what Leah, Yahweh Da's or Judah's mother, named him. The mother of Yahweh Da, Judah, said out of her mouth when she named him at birth. It means I will praise Yada. I will praise Yada. Yahweh, he exists. Yahweh, he exists. In original LBRI Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh plus Yada equals Yahweh Da. Matah Yahweh Da, spirits, the waters, and the blood. Moving on. Alright. The name Judah or Yahweh Da means thanksgiving or praise. Leah or praise to Yahweh. Leah names this son Yahweh Da or Judah from the verb to praise and resolves to praise Elohim for his wonderful provisions. Leah does not mention Jacob or Jacob, which suggests that she has resigned herself to her situation and has stopped having children for the purpose of gaining her husband's love. This is the lexicon, Genesis 29:35, and it reads, and she conceived again and bore a son, and said, this time I will praise Yahweh. This time I will praise Yahweh. Therefore, she named him Yahweh Da. Yahweh Da. Yahweh Da. Yahweh Da. Probably praised a son of Jacob, or son of Jacob, also his descendant, which you can't say I'm from Yahweh Da and I'm Jewish. You're Israelite from the tribe. If you are an Israelite from the tribe of Yahweh Da, from the Matah Yahweh Da, from the tribe of Judah. And if you're Ashkenazi Jewish, then that means you follow an Israelite tradition and you're trying to take a bloodline and make that bloodline a religion, which is not a religion. We are a people, we are a nation. Slavery stripped us we stripped us from that by not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and slavery just helped out a lot. So, I'll keep going. Where I stop at? Let's go here. All right, biblical archaeology reports, and I'm using this particular one. Get your pen and paper out, and you can write down these sites. I may put them in the comment section. I may not. But also, please take the time out to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so therefore, if I'm not shadow banned, you'll receive every time or information that I release new content to Yah's channel, Yahweh's channel. All right, the Bible is an ancient text, likely every other ancient text. The original have not survived the the ravages of time. What we have are copies of the original, which date to hundreds of years after the composition. All right, but all right. So basically, they're saying that we don't have the original text. We're slowly finding them, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone has the original text stuck somewhere in their Vatican. All right, all right. Nasham papyrus. They show evidence of here. It contains the Lord's Prayer, the Shema. O Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, Ve'havta et Yahweh Eloheicha, Ve'chol levacha, U'chol neshefcha, U'chol mehodecha. That's the Shema. We're supposed to say it at least 2 times a day, 3 times a day, once when you get up and once before you go to sleep. And then if you're on your deathbed, you're supposed to say the Shema as well. It's a commandment. All right. So then the Dead Sea Scrolls is another witness to the Father's name. The silver ketef is another one that's a witness to the Father's name. And you see his name right there. Yah-ha-wah. Yahweh. Yahweh. Now let's go down a little bit further. All right, there are other ancient texts with allude that, there are other ancient texts which allude to the Bible. The 10th century BC, and they give the different texts that everybody is saying what the Father's name is, and nobody is saying that the Father's name is Ahaya. Which even the Father could have said, I am Ahaya. And when he said Ahaya, Asha Ahaya, like I said before, he was being a smart butt. Don't be confounded on that. And if the Spirit, if it's for your ears to hear, let discernment lead you. All right, and then it ends here. Let's go here to this one. All right, the Tetragrammaton. Now, this is the reason why I'm here. I wanted to give a thorough breakdown of the Tetragrammaton and the different ways in which individuals use it. Basically, this is the Tetragrammaton in its first form. And if you notice, all of these numbers have numerical values, which come up to 72. So then when you have 2 sides of this, it would be 72 times 2, which will give you 144. Then when you get 144, you take it to the inner core or the inner dimension, and you times it times 1,000, and then you get 144,000, which all lead to the Father being a creator of life and having the tree of life. Hawa. Hawa. All right, so let's keep pushing forward. So this gives you all of the the different forms of the Tetragrammaton, and basically when you're using it for evil purposes, then I guess you can use whatever you can in order to desecrate the Father's name, the Father's word. Sort of like this picture here. That's a desecration. You're making it look like a sun god of the ancient Anunnaki. I said it, yep, the ancient Anunnaki. All right, so basically, you're going into the Tetragrammaton, and then you look at the different meanings of the Tetragrammaton, and then you could actually state what it is that it's actually saying. Let's keep pushing further. All right, so now right here, Maybe I should I? All right, well, let's look at the Tetragrammaton that they have going around in play. We're going to see view image, blow it up a little bit if we can. All right, there we go. That's a good image. I'm just removing myself from the equation for a second so that way I could give a clearer view of what the Tetragrammaton is actually saying. Okay. The reason why I say that this particular Tetragrammaton is evil, I'll tell you. I'll explain it, and then you judge for yourself. Because it's a Tetragrammaton that's out there that's not evil, that's not conjuring magic or anything like that. All right, the Tetragrammaton is a compendium of many symbols of Judaism and Christianity covering the ancient world, the classical age, and the Middle Ages. It synthesizes the pagan substratum of the West, esoteric alchemy, magic, and the other Christian mysticism, the Jewish Kabbalah, and Latin American spirituality. So this is the Jewish individuals have something to do with this. All right. In short, it is a protection talisman that invokes a large number of symbols in a tiny space. In that sense, it is in itself a small microscopic or micronism that synthesizes its smallest to immensity of the sacred and the universe. All right, so now let's go. The Tetragrammaton is formed by a circle containing a pentagram. All right, when they say a circle, this is the circle that they're talking about. All a circle incorporating a pentagram. This is the one that people are going to, and they're saying that, you can use it for protection. You can use it to open up doors. You could use it. I'm like, okay, well, anyway. All right. Pentagram. God and man. It's a pentagram of God and man. In addition to the pentagram is the 5 elements that make up Earth. At the same time, the planets that rule the heaven. The circle. The 5 points of the tetragram draw a circle, also known as circle of protection. The circle represents divinity, and its interior is always sacred space. Within the circle, the upper point of the tetragrammaton, which appears the spirit. The upper part of the tetragrammaton, which appears the spirit. Shelter and controls the 4 elements called water, fire, earth, and air. The pentagram represents balance. So the pentagram, what they're calling a pentagram, is really not the pentagram, but I'll get into that, hopefully. The pentagram represents balance when it is arranged with the top pointed up. Balance. You're at an imbalance and desecration if the top is pointed down. And imbalance pointed up, and an imbalance when it is represented with the top pointed down. It's easy that the pentagram draws a person, head, arms, legs. If he is with his feet on the ground, he is balanced. He's a balanced person. sometimes an angel. And that is why the Tetragrammaton is always presented in this way. If if there were or yeah, if it were presented feet up, head down, it would mean the opposite, the goat, the devil, and chaos. So basically they're saying this particular, when you look at it with this upward, and if it was down, it's the inverted meaning, and then it's in sacrilegious to the tetragrammaton in its entirety. But I see what they're trying. I'll go into that, but I see that no other Elohim or of any other nation, although it composes a lot of the or symbols of the other gods of paganism and stuff like that, their names are not in here, but Yahweh's name is, meaning that he's the he's the Alpha and Omega, Elohim, which created the sun and the moon, the heavens and the earth. All right, let's keep going on. In addition to the 5 points of the pentagram, an attribute, the 4 elements, wind, woman, water, fire, earth, and air, governed by the 5th element, the spirit, which occupies the upper point from the top bottom clockwise. The spirit symbolizes the divine and governs of the 4 elements. The water symbolizes emotion and intuition. The fire symbolizes courage and daringness. The earth symbolizes resistance and stability. The air represents intelligence and the arts. At the same time, along the pentagram, we find the symbols of various planets, which in turn are the Elohims of Greeks and Romans. All right, now here we go. In the upper point of the pentagram, which represents the spirit of Jupiter. This right here represents the spirit of Jupiter. He is the father of the Olympian gods who he overthrew. But now keep in mind, Yahweh is creator of it all. Jupiter. Then in the arms of the pentagram, we find twice Mars. In the arms of the pentagram, we find twice Mars. Right here and right here. The symbol for Mars. Mars is the god of war and represents strength of will and victory. The Greeks called him the Ares. All right. Finally, at the foot of the pentagram is the sign of Saturn. Saturn. The same inverted sign is on both sides, meaning they flipped it. The Greeks call it Uranus. Saturn, the sky, married Rhea, the earth, and had as children the gods of Olympus, including Jupiter, who overthrew him and took in his place the domain of Elohim and man. In addition, there are Venus and Mercury. Venus and then Mercury. All right, entitled at the vertex. Yeah, the vertex between the two legs of the pentagram, and therefore in the sex of a person, it symbolizes Mercury's symbol appears above Venus. Mercury appears above Venus, which appears inverted to join. They inverted this to join together which they represent the union of masculine and feminine, and therefore the complete human race. Here it is. All right, so now we have the sun, and the moon. Both stars have been venerated by pagan cultures since the beginning of time. The Tetragrammaton also includes or contains numbers and texts in Greek and Hebrew. All right, so therefore, under the TE, or right here, you have 1 and 2. They signify the unity of diversity and its creative power. The 1 is the masculine divinity, the cross. The 2 is the feminine divinity, the verb. Of course, you have Yahweh's name here, which is the Tetragrammaton's way for, or which is the Tetragrammaton, which is supposed to represent, but the Father's true name here. And that's why I say I don't use this, because I feel as though this is a desecration, an abomination to the Father to have him mixed in, his name mixed in with these pagan, with these heathens. Then you have Adam here. We find the word Chetar is the first sapphire, the first sapphire of the tree of life of the Jewish Kabbalah. Qatar represents the very essence, timeless and free. It is the genesis of all things, the beginning. Qatar created the heavens, the sun, the moon, and the stars, the heaven and earth, and everything. All right. Finally, we find Patar, and Patar is here. No. This is all right. We have Qatar and then Patar. To the right is the translated as Patar. To the right, Qatar. These letters are not right. But anyway, they're supposed to be the Patar, the Resh, Tav, and Pe. Resh, Tav, and Pe. Okay, I guess that's which is going backwards, which is Patar. And then they got it going the other way on the other side. But anyway, to keep going, the right of the Chaldeans of Mercury, which translated as Patar and means the Hebrew verb, the word Elahiyah. In fact, Patar and Qatar also refer to the 4 occult sciences: Kabbalah, magic, alchemy, and medicine. Finally, the Tetragrammaton is an authentic compendium of the symbols of the main Abrahamic religions, of all the Abrahamic religions of the classical Greek and Roman world, and of its pagan substrata. The Holy Grail is here. The staff is here. The flaming sword represents fire with its wavy blade. It appears in the Bible when Yahweh expels Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. The seal of Solomon. They call this the seal of Solomon, which is actually the budding pomegranate, and I'll get into that. The seal of Solomon is embroidered by a symbol of Uberus. Uberus. This right here. And this is Uberus is a serpent or a dragon that devours itself, forming a circle with its body without beginning and without end. It symbolizes the eternal return. The eternal return. Then you have the Alpha, the Omega. Then you have two eyes of Horus. Sad. Between the Alpha and the Omega, which is going into here, we already said this is Mars and Venus. So therefore, now we're going into we find the cadmium of Mercury, a winged rod. Now this is the winged rod that's right here. A winged rod around which two serpents coil. Those are the two serpents coiling around a winged rod. According to Greek mythology, the Cadyceus was given by Apollo, the Hermes, as a peace offering. One day, Mercury found two snakes fighting on Mount Catharon and tried to separate them with his staff, but they entwined in the staff, facing each other without harming each other. Hence, the power of the Cadyceus to put mortals to sleep and awaken, attract the souls of the deceased, or lead them to the abode of the dead, or to the underworld, according to legend. In addition, well, anyway, yeah. So you see what I'm saying? This is dealing with souls, spirits. That's all I'm gonna do on that. I can't look at this no more. Now, when I say that it's a way that the Tetragrammaton is supposed to actually represent individuals or show representation to the Father, this is one way to look at the Tetragrammaton. So therefore, you can figure out the new numerical value of it. It's a lot of evil that's dealing around with the tetragram, with the Father's name, and that's the heathen will make his name, will desecrate his name, and I can understand why the Father removed it from the heathen. Then you have another means in order to look at the Tetragrammaton is this, which is coming up to my next area of proof. This is another form of the Tetragrammaton that's clean. Then there's one more that I'm looking for. I don't think it's on this page though. That's actually the appropriate way to show the Tetragrammaton. And I'm keeping this short, guys. I'm keeping this so short. All right, what's next? I think this is the one that actually shows if it comes up. The Tetragrammaton. All right, the Tetragrammaton refers to the rabbinic literature as Hashem. Like I said before, the Tetragrammaton came about because they was trying to hide YHWH, Yahweh's name from the word. The name which some people pronounce as Yahweh and others, mostly Christians, as Jehovah, which is totally incorrect. I mean, would you want to call the Father by his true name, or would you want to call the Father by a name that you created? All right, so let's keep going. Next up is the Star of David, or the budding pomegranate. The budding pomegranate. The budding pomegranate is actually the Star of David. One, two, three, four, five, six. Then you have the center circumference. It's actually the shield of David. This. That's appropriate. That's a form of the Tetragrammaton that's the appropriate Tetragrammaton. It's another one too that I wish that I could find it. Let's see. I'm gonna look one more time. Maybe I'm looking through it. Now this is a clean version of the Father's name in the Tetragrammaton. But it's one more that's one of the oldest inscriptions. I cannot find it. All right, dude. What did I do with it? I had it up for illustration, but I cannot seem to find it now. This is a showing of the Tetragrammaton. It's clean. I wish I could, like I said before, find that one because that's one of the cleanest ones that I've seen. Hmm. All right, but let's just keep pushing. All right, the budding pomegranate, and basically the reason why I say that the budding pomegranate is a representation of the Star of David. It's I don't know if you can see it. That emblem right there is the pomegranate. And let's see what it says. All right, pomegranate, grained apple, herb, Ramon, common in Egypt and Palestine. The Romans called it Panuncius or Panuncicum, Malone, Salathia, Carthaginian apple, because they received it from Carthage. It belongs to the myrtle family of trees. The withering of the pomegranate tree is mentioned among the judges of Elahiah in Job 1 and 2. It is frequently mentioned in Songs of Solomon. It then the skirt, hold on, and the skirt of the high priest, blue robe, and ephod was adorned with the representation of pomegranates, alternating with golden bells. Exodus 28:33. Look it up. Exodus 28:34. Look it up. As also the chapter upon the two pillars. 1 Kings 7:20, which stood before the house. And we're slowly coming to an end with this. All right. what is the significance in this particular site? It gives a whole bunch of people, or what the pomegranate mean from different religions. So it's funny how this pomegranate is affiliated, just like with the Father's name, affiliated with all of these other religions. Or not the Father's name, but them mentioning the Father's name in all of these other religions. In Jewish tradition, the pomegranate is often given as a gift or present or presented at religious ceremonies to represent blessings for those involved, including health, success, children, and wealth. Pomegranates are highly symbolic to the Jewish, or to the Jews, or to the Israelites. Pomegranates are highly symbolic to the Israelites, representing abundance and prosperity. The pomegranate fruit is said to have 613 seeds, which symbolizes the 613 mitzvot, commandments of the Torah. In Judaism, or in being an Israelite, in Israelitish religion or faith, or we're a people, but I'll just say what it is. In Judaism, the pomegranate is thought to represent righteousness and good deeds, as it has a hard outer shell with many chambers inside containing sweet juice. This represents how on the outside some may appear righteous, but in rarity there are many unknown good works done inside. Meaning, just because you just see him outside, you don't know what he's doing on the inside. In addition to the symbolism, Salathi. In addition to the symbolism, there is also an ancient legend that states that when Sarah passed away, she had as many tears as there were seeds of a pomegranate. Thus, a common Jewish tradition involves eating at least one pomegranate at the beginning of Rosh Hashanah as a sign of mourning and remembrance. Moreover, pomegranates are also seen as a symbol of fertility in Judaism, or being an Israelite. This is due to the fact that they have many seeds representing abundance and blessings for generations, abundance and blessings for generations to come. It is not uncommon during Jewish weddings for grooms to break open a pomegranate while wearing the traditional wedding canopy. Hapach. This symbolizes prosperity and bountiful offsprings. Overall, pomegranates carry deep spiritual meaning in Jewish culture. They represent righteousness, good deeds, abundance and prosperity, fertility and remembrance. Thus, it is no wonder why this fruit continues to be an important part of Israelites' culture today. So the Greeks even have it, and basically, when I read all of this, they were saying the same thing. They were saying that the Salathia, that the pomegranates were basically used as a spiritual. It was abundance, prosperity, and now I showed that in the Jewish individuals and Israelite culture, it also represented the 613 commandments. All right, so now what we have is here Hebrew Israelite Research Center. And basically, they recorded all of the Hebrew alphabets, and basically we even give a breakdown on how to say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we have the Yah, the Yod is here. Yah, He is here. Ha, Wah. Yahweh is his name. Yahweh is his name. This is a what? Ancient Hebrew alphabet. Paleo Hebrew. 1200 BC. Zephaniah 3 and 9. Isaiah. Yah. Yah. Ha. Yah. Ha. Wah. Yahweh. Yahweh. Or Yahweh. An Assyrian, Yah, Wah, Ha. Yah, Ha, Wah. An Assyrian, Aramaic, right? So basically, they're showing a correlation between the ancient Paleo and the Sumerian text, which actually correlated, which makes sense because Noah had three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. They were brought up speaking the same language. I don't believe that Noah talked to one way, and he talked to the other one way, and he talked to the other one in another language or with another tongue. He basically used the same tongue. So these sons had the same tongue. So when these sons started to go into their different areas of regions, they basically started to speak of that particular reason. And I'm so upset. I don't know where I have it, but just to prove it one more time, I know what the emblem looks like when I see it for that site, but here we go. And then I'll close out with this because this has been a long journey. The Tetragrammaton, and trust me, this is just a recap of what I've read. I've read so much on the Tetragrammaton. I already knew about the Tetragrammaton, but then I had to go back and retrieve what I've already studied, then studied new stuff that came about, and blessings, and then most definitely the Father guided me through with discernment and the Holy Spirit in order to be able to answer or to show and stipulate that the Tetragrammaton, yeah, if it's used in a proper tense, it's good. But the Tetragrammaton with the Father's name, with all of the heathen nation symbols around it, that's bad. I believe that's a desecration of the Father's name. All right, now going back, what I read earlier, we already know this is Hawa or Haya. This is Hawa, and this is Hawa as well. Now, only thing is missing is the Yod, which is this letter right here, the Yah, or the Yod. And everybody can agree that the Yod says Yah. That's Yah. So the discrepancy when they was trying to hide the Father's name, or came up with the invention of the Tetragrammaton to hide the Father's name, to bring the divinity of the Father down a step to where nobody would know his name for thousands of years. They created the Tetragrammaton, and then the Jewish individuals that took control of the Israelites' faith, they controlled it and tried to hide it, just like they tried to hide that we were the children of Judah. I won't go into that, but everybody can agree that if you put a Yod in front of this, it's going to say Yahaya or Yahweh or Yahweh. All right, the Hebrew language knows one root of the form Hayah, one root of the form Hayah, and two forms of the root Hawa. So we have one Hayah and then two Hawa. Or so says Hawa. Theological workbook of the Old Testament, the older BDB Theological Dictionary does not differentiate between the two roots of Hawa. They don't differentiate between these two roots. I'm trying to say it for the slow people. These two roots. One of these roots, Hawa, that root right there, this root right here, Hawa, or one strand of the one root, or one strand of the one root, Hawa, Yahweh, 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 Yahweh is in fact the verb haya. One or haya, one of these roots, hawa, or one strand of the one root, hawa, is in fact Abram Publications Biblical Dictionary, the Old Testament Hebrew root word hawa. Root, the Old Testament Hebrew word haya. One of these roots, haya, a hawa, go back a little bit, hawa, or one strand of the one root, hawa, is in fact the verb haya. For you slow people. Or just if you have ears to hear, let you hear. Discern. But if it's not meant for you, don't hear it. Be blinded. Be deaf. The Father did it to you on purpose. Is in fact the verb haya. Here's the catch. Is in fact the verb haya in an older spelling. And the other hawa, which is this one, is an unusual variant of the verb hawa. See? This is the unusual version. This one is the unusual version that they wouldn't really use, but this one, hawa, not this one, but this one, they was actually using. So I'll say it again, and then I'm going to go ahead and close it out. The Hebrew language knows one root of the form haya and two of the form hawa. Two of the form hawa. One haya, two hawa. Or, so says Hawa, theological word book of the Old Testament. The older BDP, Boogie Down Productions, but the older BDB theological dictionary does not differentiate between the two roots Hawa, HWH. Of these two roots, HWH, Hawa, or one strand of the root Hawa, is in fact the verb haya. Is in fact the verb haya in an older spelling. And the other hawa is an unusual variant of the verb hawa. So haya, hawa, hawa. Stay priest up. Stay prayed up. Most definitely. Do I do it? In Hebrew, the verb hawa is an older version of the verb haya. In biblical Aramaic, which is closely related to the biblical Hebrew, the form hawa remained. So in the biblical Aramaic, which is closely related to the biblical Hebrew, the form hawa remained, while they changed it to haya in the newer one. In the Hebrew part of the Bible, the verb haya occurs more than 3,500 times, and the verb hawa a mere half a dozen times. Ecclesiastics and all of that type of stuff. Many scholars believe that the name of Yahweh, YHWH, was derived from this verb. They believe that it derived from haya, this verb. Although pretty much every theory on how that might happen can be challenged, meaning you could challenge it. They go on. The verb hawa means to fall, or so we see, or we summarize. It doesn't seem to be used anywhere in the Bible says, oh, these are critics. Variant Hawa, that's the other writing of Hawa with the aleph at the end, which may or may not be the same as our verb Hawa, and it's not. That's why it's not seen that many times, as we see below. BB BB Theological Dictionary actually doesn't recognize two separate roots, Hawa, and argues that the single Hebrew Hawa works similar like our verb to be, fall, but whatever the etymology, these two roots are indistinguishably to anyone using them, even more so because Hawa doesn't yield any derived nouns but occurs as a verb all over the Old Testament. Whereas, I mean, because if you think about it, he says, Ahaya Asha Ahaya. That's a verb. I am that I am. I am he who exists. Then, when you look at it as moreover, Yahweh to come to be, he exists to make everything into existence. It's just like I said before, I showed this I said it for the slow individuals, I said it for the fast individuals, I said it for individuals for that could comprehend. I gave a thorough breakdown, and if you had ears to hear, hopefully you had the Father gave you discernment. But if the Father purposely blinded you to where you could see the facts, but you don't acknowledge the facts, wasn't meant for you. Wasn't meant for you. So I want to say peace out. Shalom alaikum. Yashiala. Peace be unto you, Israel. Um, Stay prayed up. Stay out of trouble. Come to the Father. Don't look towards talismans and different spells in order to try to conjugate ghosts and supernatural powers, because you might just invoke the wrong thing. Stay close to the Father. With that,